Any ads heard during this episode that are not in our voice are placed by third-party agencies. They should not be considered the opinion of or to be endorsed by Hoosier Myths and Legends.
Welcome to another episode of the Hoosier Myths and Legends podcast.
I'm Rebecca Wilhelm.
I'm Mary Quigley.
And I'm Hope Wilhelm.
Join us as we dive into the spookier side of the Hoosier state.
So what comes to your mind when you think of Indiana? Do you think of corn? Do you think of basketball? Do you think of the Indianapolis 500? Maybe you think of famous celebrities who were born in Indiana, like John Mellencamp or Michael Jackson.
But as the saying goes, there is more than corn in Indiana. 92 counties make up the Hoosier state. In this podcast, we are going to discuss some Indiana folklore from each of these counties. If you are into tall tales, ghosts, or spooky legends, then this is a podcast you are not going to want to miss. Today we have a heartbreaking story from Rushville, Indiana.
In 1902, Lova Cline was born with what many articles describe as a crippling illness of an unknown origin. Much of her short life was spent not being able to move or to sit up for long periods on her own. Lova's father built her a 5-foot dollhouse that her mother lovingly furnished with toys and decorations. According to folklore, this house became the sole source of happiness for little Lova, who loved to look into the large clear windows of the house. When Lova passed in 1908, she was buried, and her father had the dollhouse moved so that she would always be able to see it. To this day, visitors to the Arlington East Hill Cemetery in Rushville love to gaze into the windows and see the antique furniture and toys. Over the years, many have also reported seeing the windows glow, even though there's no electricity to the dollhouse. So sit back, relax, as we bring you the legend of Lova Cline's dollhouse.
This is a heartbreaking but interesting story.
It really is.
It's also something that I had not heard about until we started researching the story.
I had not either, and I have to admit, I saw this posted on Facebook. And interestingly, this is not the only dollhouse grave located in Indiana. There's another one located in Connorsville, Indiana. So Indiana has, in fact, 2 dollhouse grave sites.
The one in Connorsville is also a child's grave. It is the grave of Vivian May Allison, aged 5, who passed away in 1899. This is located in the city cemetery.
Vivian and Lova are similar in that they both have dollhouse grave markers built by their fathers. Vivian's was supposed to be a Christmas present from her parents, but sadly she did not live to get her gift that year. Her parents lovingly took care of the dollhouse for an impressive 70 years. And after that, it was taken care of by Vivian's younger sister and other family members. Now, it's cared for by the city of Connorsville.
I know that you and I have always been kind of fascinated with old cemeteries and old grave markers.
Especially unique ones. And these dollhouse graves certainly fit the bill.
They sure do.
So let's go ahead and get into it.
Lova Frances Cline's birth in 1902 was a joyous occasion for parents George and Mary Cline.
However, the Clines soon realized that Lova had some health issues.
The Find a Grave article about her gravesite and other sources have always called her illness neurological. There are also some reports that it involved muscular issues as well.
There are not many details out there about what really was going on with Lova.
All that's really known is that whatever the illness was, it caused Lova to not be able to sit or stand up without having someone help her.
Lova's father, George Cline, built a 5-foot dollhouse for Lova, complete with furniture that he had hand-carved himself.
Lova's mother, Mary, decorated the dollhouse by making curtains, bed linens, and tablecloths and placed dolls inside for Lova to see.
Although unable to play with this huge house, Lova did enjoy the dollhouse.
George would carry Lova out to the dollhouse daily so that she could look inside.
And this became a great joy for Lova. She loved to spend hours just looking into the huge windows of this dollhouse.
That's so sweet and also sad.
I agree. I also loved dolls when I was a little girl, so I would have been devastated not being able to play with anything inside.
I was thinking that too, but maybe since she had never been able to play with it, she was not bothered by only watching.
You're probably right. Lova's father built it with only windows. It does not have a door, and it never has had a door.
In 1908, at the age of 6, Lova Cline passed away.
George Cline had the dollhouse moved to his daughter's grave so that she could always see it. And the Clines continued to visit Lova's grave and to maintain the dollhouse.
In 1945, Mary Cline passed away at the age of 72. For some reason that we have not been able to find a record of, Mary is buried in the Arlington East Hill Cemetery, which is different from where Lova is.
We'll be back after a short break to talk about what happens next and some of the paranormal incidents involving Lova's dollhouse.
So after the death of Mary, George is realizing that he's getting older. He was in his late 70s when Mary passed away in 1945. He asked the caretaker of the cemetery where Lova is to destroy the dollhouse.
It's not really said why he wants this done, but I have a feeling it's because maybe he fears the dollhouse falling into disrepair after his death.
That's also what I was thinking his reasoning could be.
The next year, in 1946, George passed away, and he is buried with Mary at Arlington East Hill Cemetery.
The community had Lova's body dug up, and both she and the dollhouse were moved so that Lova can forever be with her parents. If you go out to the dollhouse grave now, there is a plaque that tells the story about its history, and it also has the only known picture of Lova in her casket.
This is not where the story ends, of course.
Over the decades since the dollhouse was moved, people have reported seeing strange things going on.
The first thing that people noticed was light being on inside this dollhouse. Keep in mind, there's no electricity to the dollhouse. There are no lights.
Built at the turn of the 20th century, this place has never had lights or electricity run to it.
So there is no possible reason for a light to be coming from within it.
Another creepy phenomenon is that it has been reported that objects inside the house are said to move around.
And people have reported that when they go out to visit the dollhouse, they notice furniture and even the dolls themselves will be moved around into different places.
As with most haunted locations, people also report seeing orbs and capturing them in photos.
And there is speculation that this might be Lova's spirit.
Perhaps she is playing with the toys she never got a chance to in life.
Or maybe it's a sign that she's happy that she was moved to near where her parents are resting.
Unfortunately, as with anything like this, there have been vandals over the years.
And the house has been broken into and things disturbed.
The community keeps an eye on it and makes repairs when needed to the dollhouse.
If you find yourself in the Rushville area and decide to pay your respects to Lova and her family, please be respectful.
I think it's disturbing that people would disturb a grave, especially the grave of a child.
If you go out and visit Lova, please send us a message and let us know your thoughts or if you've experienced something at the grave.
Have you heard of Lova Cline or Vivian May Allison's dollhouse graves? Is there a version of these stories we missed? We would love to hear about it. Please send us an email to HoosierMythsAndLegends@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media. We may use it in a later episode. In the email, let us know if you wish to remain anonymous.
To see our source material, please visit our website, HoosierMythsAndLegends.com. Please find us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and now Twitter. Hoosier Myths and Legends is a Quigley Productions podcast.
Our theme song was written and recorded by Wet Blanket. The song title is Taxidermy Race Car.
As always, stay spooky.